Today we will discuss numbers in Python. The different numbers which are present in Python are integer, floating point numbers, and complex number. What is an integer number? It is a number without the decimal point. For example, I can use a variable name x, which is going to store integer value 2. Here we are not putting any decimal point. So a number, any number without a decimal point will be treated as an integer number. So here x is an integer variable containing the integer value 2. Now how will you find out the type of this variable x? By using a function type within the braces we are going to write the variable that we had used. So the output that we are going to get is class int. So this is x is a class, it is an integer variable. Now second number is a floating point number. A number with a decimal point is called as a floating point number. How we will represent it? For example, 2.78654 is a floating point number where we can store, I can store in a variable name, for example, y. If you want to check what will be the type of this variable y by using, we can use it by using the function type and then within the braces y. So the output that we are going to get will be float. The third number is a complex variable. A number containing real part and the imaginary part is called as a complex number, in which the imaginary part is indicated by character G. How we can write a complex number? For example, real part 5 plus the complex imaginary number 4 with the character G is a complex number where I can store in a variable, for example, name Z. So Z is containing a complex number. How we can display the type of variable Z is by using type function, and is going to display the output as complex number. Now we will find out, uh, now we will see how to write the code for writing the, how we will write the program, how we will write the instruction for finding what are the different way of writing the Python program for the different data type. For example, we are having a is equal to 8. So this is an integer variable. Suppose I want to print its value. I can directly print by using print command. So print value of a, value of a. So after compiling my program, what I'm going to get? I'm going to get 8. So as in when I'm going to compile my program, here I can check out a. What is the data type of A is integer. Here, although we are not defined, we had not declared the data type, but the data type will be declared by the Python internally. And what is the value? So here I can display the value of A. But here, this is not a user-friendly output. What kind of value? Which value is this A? So what I can write? I can write a user-friendly statement. Value of A is, and then I can write the value. I can print the value. So now after compiling the program, what I'm going to get? I'm going to get a user-friendly statement. Value of A is 8. Now the second part is to declare a floating point number. For example, I'm having 2.34567 as a floating point number. Now I want to declare the value for, I want to display the value. So the value of D is, and then I'm going to declare the variable that I'm going to put the variable that I'm whose value I want to display. So after compilation, I will get the value of B as 2.4567. Now the time to declare a complex variable. For example, C is some complex number with the real part as 2 and the imaginary part as 4 with the character J. Now I want to display its value also. So by using, you can say our interactive statement, value of C is, so after compiling my program, I will get the value of C is 2.4J. Now the time to check the data type of all the variables. So what I can write, for example, in order to check out the data type of all the variables, I can use a type function. So type A. So after running the program, what you are going to get, you are not going to get the output of this type A. So this type value will be stored and will be passed to the Python, and in the it will be stored in computer memory. So how will we get the value? By using a print function. So print, within the print function, I have to write print and the type of the variable whose value, whose type we want to check. So here I'm going to get the class in. So what I can do, I can decorate my output so that I will come to know that this is the output or this is the type of variable in. So type of A, I can write. So this will be your output. Okay, so now run the program. So I will going to get the type of A is integer. So similarly, for I can copy for I can display the type of variable B also. So the type of variable B is type of B. Now if you want to check the type of C, so I can declare I can display the type of data type of C also. So type of C. Now we run the program. So what I'm going to get? I'm going to get the type of class, type of variable A, B, and C as integer, float, and complex variable. Now we are going to display the equivalent octal equivalent of integer variable A. So how we can write for displaying the octal equivalent of integer number? I have to use format specifier, which is indicated by the percentage sign. So in order to display the octal equivalent of the decimal number, I'm going to use format specifier as percentage O. And for the decimal number, I'm going to use percentage B. So what will be the octal equivalent? How are we going to write it? We are going to write octal equivalent and then percentage O, small o. What is going to do is going to display the octal equivalent of the decimal number 8. So the octal equivalent of decimal number 8 is 10. So 10 will be displayed here. Of, for example, decimal number, which decimal number, which is indicated by a, which is stored in variable A. So the decimal number, which decimal number I want here, I want A. So for that I'm going to use common specifier D. Okay. Then after that what I'm going to do, I'm going to, without putting any comma, now I'm going to use percentage sign because I have already used percentage format specifier here. So for this first format specifier, I cannot use direct the variable name ABC. I'm going to use the variable name where with along with the percentage sign. Now, how many format specifier I have used? I use percentage O and percentage D. Percentage O belongs to which variable? It belongs to A. It is a converted octal representation of A. And then comma, this percentage B. This percentage B belongs to which number? This percentage B belongs to integer number which is stored in A. So now it's going to display me. We have to complete the basis of the print statement. Now we will compile the program, check what is the answer we are getting. We are getting the answer as octa equivalent 10 of decimal number 8. Okay. So here the values for the percentage O, which values present in A? The value present in A, that is 8, is now converted into decimal number into octal representation, which is 10. And what our percentage B is for displaying whatever values present in this A. That's why we are getting the output as octal equivalent 10 of decimal number 8. Now we are going to work with the floating point number. Suppose I want to print my floating point number is 2.4567, but I want only after decimal point, I want only two numbers to be displayed. So for that I can use format specifier, which is called as point, and how many how many numbers you want after the decimal point. I want after the decimal point. So for that I'm going to put decimal point. How many numbers I want? Only two numbers. And which format you want in floating point number. We are playing with the floating point number. That's why we have to specify that after the decimal point, how many position we want? Only two position respected to floating point number. Then we are going to close the quotation, and as we use this thing, so before putting the decimal point, we have to put the percentage sign. So percentage sign, that means this is the format specifier for the decimal number, and 2 means after the decimal number I want two values, only two numbers of the floating point variable. Okay, and after that I'm going to put percentage B, because percentage B is a floating point number whose value के साथ में we are playing. So for that, we will get this thing. Now we will check the output, what kind of output we are getting. The floating point number was 2.45, but here what we are getting is 2.35. Only two numbers of the floating point variable will be displayed. Now, suppose we want to create a complex number. So we already have a complex number here, but I don't want j to be written from my side. So what I want, I can use a shortcut method by writing the name of the class, which class, which data type we are using complex, and I can write 3 comma 6 within the braces. So 3 comma 6 within the braces. So what kind of output we are going to get? So I want the value of d. So what I can write, print value of complex number d. So then what we are going to put the value in which variable name in which the value is stored. Now we run the program and check the value of complex number d is 3.3 plus 6j. We had only supplied the parameters as 3 and 6, but the j and plus sign is added because of this function which is known as complex. Now suppose I want to display the real part and the imaginary part. So for that again I can use this statement for displaying the real part and imaginary part, and I can decorate my answer for the interactive session that real part of, then in order to display the value of your variable. So for before that we have used comma sign, but here if we are going to put comma sign, the value is not going to be displayed because after that I want the output as real part of uh, uh, 3 plus 6j is. I want this kind of output. So what I want here, if you are going to put comma sign and the value d, it's not going to work. So in order to display the value of d to be printed along with the this printed statement. So what I have to do, I have to write strd, but strd cannot be worked with the this within the print statement. That means this string part and this string part has to be added. So I'm going to write plus sign. So now I want is. So for is also I'm going to write plus sign and then put is within the quotation and the value of the name of the part which you want to display. So I want real part. So what I can write, d dot real. So what it's going to do is going to display the real part of your variable d. So the real part of 3 plus 6j is now 3.0. Similarly, why we have combined the string with the plus sign, because if you want to use the print statement and you want to add multiple parts. For example, I want imaginary parts. So imaginary part of. Now I want the value of b. Suppose if you are going to write b here, so what am I going to get? So what I'm going to get, you can check the output as we are going to get imaginary part of d, but instead of d, I want the value of that d. So what I can write, I have to write that variable name. So if you're going to write b, so you will get imaginary part of 3.6j. Now what I want in the same line I want is also, and I want the imaginary part. So imaginary part of d will be indicated by d dot image function. Function. So but how we can add here? So in order to add it, for example, I'm going to add a plus sign and then is and check whether it's going to work or not. So let me check. See, we are going to display an error message because the d, which is not a string, is going to be added with the another string, which is the is part. Is a string. The imaginary part of is also a string part. So the d cannot be added with those strings. For that, what we are going to do, we are going to convert this d into str. So str within that braces, what we are going to do, we have converted temporarily the d, which is a complex number, into a string only for displaying purpose. Now what we are going to do, now we are going to display the uh, uh, imaginary part. So e dot image. So what is going to do is going to print the value imaginary part of your string d. Okay, and here the strd has to be added with this portion of your string. So this is one string and this is the second string. So how this string will be added? For addition of these two strings, we have to put the plus sign. So plus sign will be added here. So now it will become a correct statement for displaying string along with the complex number along with this, and then the imaginary part of d. After running the program, what we are going to do, what we can see the imaginary part of 6. 3 plus 6j is 6.0. So this is how we can define an integer variable, floating point number, and the complex number. We can display different types of them, and we can also print the values of integer, floating point number, and complex number. Plus, we can print a string along with the data type along with the variable by using str function, and again someone string. So how the multiple string will be added by using the plus sign in between. So this is how we have studied different numbers in Python.